Our opening prayer for today is on page 170 of this book, The Universal Prayers, the second one on that page. This is from the Shiva Mahimna Stotram, familiar to you by now. The second one on page 170. Om बहुल रजसे विश्वोत्पत्तौ भवाय नमो नमः प्रबलतमसे तत्संहारे हराय नमो नमः जनसुखकृते सत्त्वस्थित्यै मृडाय नमो नमः प्रमहसि पदे निस्त्रैगुण्ये शिवाय नमो नमः Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is a prayer to Lord Shiva, who is the embodiment of all the gunas and free from three gunas at the same time. The three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, are under his control, and Jivas like us, we are under the control of the three gunas. So the translation is, salutations to you, O Lord, who as creator assumes the immense power of dynamism, Rajas, and produce the universe. Salutations to you, who as destroyer causes its dissolution by the mighty power of inertia, Tamas. Salutations to you, who as protector blesses people with happiness through the power of balance, Sattva. Salutations to you, O auspicious Lord, who in your transcendent aspect are again beyond the three gunas. Om peace. May there be peace in our hearts. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. May there be peace everywhere in nature. So let us continue with our study of chapter 9. Now we have to do today verse number 19. In verse number 18, we saw the Lord is all in all. He is our goal, Gati, our destination. We have to go back to Him. Actually, we are with Him all the time, even now, but we are feeling this separation. Well, how and when can we be away from Him? Not possible. But that feeling of separation has to go, and we should experience oneness with Him. That is our goal. Prabhu, this verse number 18. Prabhu, He is the Lord. Sakshi, He is the witness. Nivasa, He is the abode, our final destination, final abode. Prabhavaha, He is the source, origin, creator of everything. Pralayaha, He is the one who brings about destruction when the cycle of creation ends. That means we go back and merge. Destruction is not a bad word. It has a bad connotation, but actually it means we are going back to God. That is the good thing. We have to go back to God. We can't stay here in this world. This is not our place. This is a strange land. We have strayed into this world because of karma or whatever explanation we can give. And this is not our permanent place. There's a very nice song in Bengali. Swami Vivekananda sang that one. That time he was Naren. When he met Sri Ramakrishna for the first time, he sang, Mano cholo nije niketane. Mano, oh my mind, go back to our own abode. This is not our abode. So he is our destination. Pralayaham, sthanam, our place. Nidhanam, he is the treasury. The word here is treasury. Treasury means something very precious to us. Bijam avyayam, avyayam bijam, imperishable seed. Other seeds, they produce, one seed produces one plant when it sprouts, and then that seed is no longer there. But the Lord, the seed means eternally creation is going on. Never, that seed never perishes. Bijam avyayam, that we saw last time. Now we go to verse number 19. Here in verse number 19, the Lord Bhagavan is explaining how the processes in nature, you see, cyclic phenomena, the four seasons and rain and a summer or any season. In India, it's called monsoon season. Here we don't have a separate monsoon season. We have spring, summer, fall, and winter, like that. So how these are caused by his power is explained in verse number 19. Tapamyahamaham varsham nigrinhamyutsrujami cha amritam chaiva mrityuscha sadasacchaham Arjuna. Oh Arjuna, aham tapami. Tapa means heat. Tapami, I cause heat. Without heat or warmth, we can't exist. Warmth is very essential for all life or any life to exist. In very cold places, if you go far away from the sun in the solar system to the remote planets like Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, there's not enough sunlight, there's not enough warmth, no life can exist. Too cold. So here on the planet Earth, just the optimum amount of heat he produces at the right time. Tapameham aham varsham nigrinhami ustrajamicha. Varsha means rain. At the right time, the Lord causes rainfall so that crops can grow. Nigrinhami, if rain falls all the time, then there'll be a problem. So sometime we have to stop the rain also. Amritam chaiva mrityuscha. Amrita means I am immortality itself. Amrita means something that is immortal. The Lord is immortal himself. Everything else is mortal. Martyam. In the Upanishads it says, Yan martyam tadalpam. Whatever perishes at any time, maybe it may exist for a long time, but if it perishes, goes out of existence, that cannot give happiness. Na alpe sukamasti yan martyam tadalpam. Whatever perishes at any time, no matter for how long it has existed, it will not be a source of permanent happiness. It cannot. What can give happiness is immortality, amritatva. Bhuma, infinite. Bhumaiva sukham. Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad said, there Sanat Kumara says to Narada in a famous conversation, chapter 7. When Narada was asking about happiness, Sanat Kumara says, Bhumaiva sukham. Bhuman means infinity, infinite. That only can give happiness. Na alpe sukhamasti. Alpa means limited, finite. That cannot give you happiness. Like that. So Amritam, he is that immortal. The Lord is the immortality. We have to seek him if you want happiness. We are seeking happiness in the wrong places. In worldly achievements and property, position, family, relationships, success, fame, they are limited. They are all martya. They go away after some time. They cannot be the source of happiness. But by mistake, the mistake we are doing is we are looking for happiness in the wrong place. Looking for happiness is not bad. It is a thing we have to do. But you have to change where we are looking for happiness. You should look up to God for happiness. So worldly things cannot give lasting happiness. Amritam chaiva. Mrityuscha. Mrityu means death. Death means the ending of something. We call death. That is a very sad and bad connotation. The word, we don't want to use the word death in conversation also. But actually, death means death of this physical body. Physical body-mind complex. That dies. Then what happens? We merge in God, in infinity. That's a good thing. It's a progression. If you keep on living in this world, that will be difficult. When you are 65, 50, 40, 50, 60 years, it's okay. But when a person becomes 100 years old, quality of life will not be there. Everything we have to depend upon somebody while we are in wheelchair and somebody has to feed us. What kind of quality is that? So long life is necessarily does not translate into happiness. At some time, this temporary existence, this life has to end, then we can reach the immortality. Mrityuscha, he is the one that causes that. Generation, creation, maintenance, and destruction, withdrawal. Destruction, withdrawal. Mrityuscha, sad asatcha aham arjuna. I am both existence and non-existence. How can it be both? They are opposite things. Here, in the commentary, Shankara says, Sat means something that is existing, visible to us in the body-mind plane. So through sense organs, you are able to see so many things. They exist for now, but they are not permanent. All the things that we see or experience through the senses and mind, they're all temporary, but they appear now. So we call them something that is existent for the time being. Asat means the invisible cause, the cause of this whole creation in the Lord Himself. He remains invisible. The Creator remains invisible. Creation is visible. So when Sri Ramakrishna gives his example, when you go to a very rich person's home, huge mansion and garden and so many servants and everything, what we see are the effects, possessions. Big garden is there, so many servants in uniform are standing there, and good things are there, everything grand, big scale. But he, the owner himself, is not visible. He's somewhere in the inner quarters. The Lord is like that. His creation is visible, He is invisible. Sarasachaham, both are He. The cause, the invisible cause and invisible effect. Sat Asatchaham. That means in one word, everything is He. Sarvam Kalavidam Brahma Upanishad finishes in one sentence. But in other scriptures, these details are given. Now we go to verse number 20. You're doing chapter 9. This is what the ordinary people, devotees do. They look for happiness in heaven, temporary place. Heaven is not a permanent place. This earthly life is also not a permanent thing. Sooner or later it has to end. This is not our final place. We should not be here. The longer we stay here, more time we are wasting. We have to go to Him. He is our true abode. Dhanam, Parandhama. In some places in India, they keep the name Parandhaman. Parandhama means supreme abode. The Lord is a supreme abode. That's where our destination, that's where we should be. So the heaven and all these things for which people hanker, they are not worth worrying about, striving for. They are temporary things. The temporary nature of heaven and other worldly enjoyments is being explained in the next 3 verses, 2-3 verses. Verse number 20. Traivedyamam somapa utapapa yajnairištva swargatim prarthayante te punyamasadhya surendra lokam ashnanti divyam divideva bhogan. The translation is conversant with the lower of the triple Vedic text. Translation is not very helpful. Conversant with the lower of the triple Vedic texts. Drinkers of the Soma juice, cleansed of sins, crave attainment of heaven after having sacrificed unto me. They reach the meritorious world of Indra and enjoy their divine felicities. That means Traivedya means the 3 aspects of the Veda. The first 3 parts, they deal with Karma Kanda. They describe the various rituals, yajnas, to be performed to achieve certain specific goals. To achieve any specific goal, somebody wants money, somebody wants children, somebody wants destruction of enemies. There are particular yajnas are prescribed there to achieve that goal. You can see a sample of that in the at the end of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which we don't study that part because Brihadaranyaka Upanishad comes from the Brahmana portion, not from the Upanishad portion. There, some of the rituals are described. For example, if a couple wants a child, a son of particular qualities, the son must become a Vedic scholar. He must become rich. He must be able to gather a lot of gold coins, which was the unit of indicator of wealth those days, and cattle. If somebody wants such a son, what kind of ritual they have to do is described in the Vedas, in the Brahmana portion of the Vedas. That people do those things because they want these things. These are temporary things. That's being described here. Traivedya, those who perform these rituals described in the Vedas. Mam, Somapaha, at the end of the rituals, they create some kind of a herbal smoothie, remedy, and then they drink it after offering it to the gods in the fire, invoking in the fire. So that is supposed to give them immortality. It won't, but that's what people want. Sraividyamam somapaha, those who drink soma juice, putapapaha, they become free from sins. When you do any good deeds, it washes away some sin. The best way to become free from sin without doing any yajna or anything is to repeat God's name. Of all the yajnas, we are going to study in the next chapter, chapter 10, verse 25. Sri Krishna is going to say, of all the different kinds of yajnas, so many kinds of yajnas are there. The best yajna is what? Japa yajna, repetition of God. Yajnanam japa yajnosmi, 10:25. So the other kinds of yajnas, for more concrete results. For example, Dasharatha didn't have sons, but those days kings have to have at least one son to whom he could entrust a kingdom and retire to the forest for Vanaprastha ashrama. So he didn't have sons. So he asked his teachers, gurus. They said, if you want sons, then you have to do a certain kind of yajna, which is called Putra Kameshti Yajna. Putra Ishti is a kind of Vedic rituals. Putra Kama means desire for child, son. So Dasharatha performs Putra Kameshti ritual. Then he gets 4 sons. The idea of getting sons or having a family is to find happiness. Did he find happiness? Ramayana story will tell us. So that's how they used to perform specific yajnas to achieve specific goals. Somapaha putapapaha yajnaihi ishtva, by performing yajnas. Ishti means a Vedic ritual. By performing Vedic rituals as described in the Karma Kanda, Swargatim prarthayante, they pray for Swarga. They want to go to heaven. That is the biggest thing in their mind. But we know, according to Vedanta, Swarga is a very temporary thing, not really worth striving for. We'll understand that one here. Swargatim prarthayante. They, such people who perform yajnas, punyam surendralokam asadhyam. Punyam means divine. Surendraloka means the heaven where Indra and other gods live. Asadhya, they will reach there, stay for some time. It's not a permanent thing ever. Then what do they do there? Deva Bhogan Ashnanti. Divyan Deva Bhogan Ashnanti. They enjoy all kinds of divine pleasures. No work to be done, only enjoyment. But problem is, how long? After some time, when the stock of punya is exhausted, they will have to come back to Martya Loka. That will come in the next verse. Then verse number 21. Etam bhuktva sargalokam vishalam kshine punye martyalokam mishanti. Come back to square one. Evam traye dharma manu prapanna gatagatam kama kama labhante. Having enjoyed the vast world of heaven, vishalam, Swargalokam bhuktva, enjoyment in the heaven, all kinds of pleasures. Kshine punye, when the punya, stock of punya we accumulate by doing yajna is exhausted, punya kshine, what happens? Martyalokam mishanti, they come back to the human world again. So there is a board game called, in Telugu it is called Paramapada Sopana Patamu. That means snake and ladders. If you hit a ladder, you go to the very top row. There's performing yajna, you go. Then next time when you roll the dice, if you hit the head of a snake, will come back to very low, bottom, all over again. So that coming and going is what is happening. Martyaloka Mishanti, come back to the world of human beings after the punya is exhausted. Evam trayi dharmam anuprapanna, by conforming to the laws of the three kanda, karma kanda, trayi dharma means karma kanda. Gatagatam kama kama labhante. Kama kama means those who have desire for sense pleasures. Such people who want pleasures in life, happiness through sense pleasures, family, children, success, property, all those things. Kama kama, such people, gatagatam labhante. What do they get? They go up and down, they go up and down. They come to the world, perform yajnas, go to the heaven, finish their punya, start there, come back to the world. So this cycle, they get stuck in this cycle. Why this heaven is not such a great thing? People think heaven is the highest thing. It's not. Why? It's a temporary thing, like I give the example of a cruise, a vacation, holiday cruise. How long did the cruise last? It depends upon how much money you give. If you just want a weekend cruise to Caribbean ports, you will maybe spend $2,000-3,000. But if you are willing to spend $10,000, you can go to a European cruise for 14 days, or you can go to Alaska. So many more ports, so many more shopping opportunities. What happens when you go to a cruise? Similar to what happens in heaven. Then there is no work. When you go on a cruise, you don't have to do any work. Just you have to pay the bills. That's all. Pay the bills up front. What happens there is opportunity for sense enjoyment. All kinds of food are available. 24 hours food court is open. Any kind of ethnic food you want, it is available there because you have paid for it already. You can get Korean food, Thai food, South Indian food, idli sambar, you can North Indian food, kulfi, whatever you want, available around the clock. All kinds of pleasures, enjoyments are available. You can watch movies, you can watch magic shows going on, you can play tennis. Yeah, there is a swimming pool there. Anything you want. All kinds of shows are going on there. Cabaret dance, everything is going on. You can watch all of them, enjoy, and don't have to do any work. How long? As long as the money you paid lasts. Depends upon how much money you pay. When the money is exhausted, come back to the port, get off, other people are waiting to get it. That is the problem with heaven. It's not permanent. It can only be there for a short time. Depends upon how much yajna, other things we have done, kamya karma you have done. So that is not really worth striving for, because something that ends very, very short time. So kama labante, gata gatam labante. They get stuck in this cycle of coming and going. Coming to the earth, doing yajnas, kamya karma, going to heaven, enjoying for some time, coming back to the earth. That should not be the goal of life. We are inherently divine. Swamiji simply put it, each soul is potentially divine. But we are not aware of our divinity. It remains potential. The whole purpose of human life is to realize our divine nature and give up the erroneous impression that we are the body and the mind, which we are not. That cannot be done by going to heaven. It only postpones the goal of life, waste of time. Therefore, There is a very nice song, I don't know from where it is. It says, Brahmandam Goshpadayate. Whatever pleasure is available in this whole cosmos, whatever kind of pleasure, however much in magnitude you can imagine, all of that just equal to the muddy water that collects in the hoof print of a cow in monsoon season. In the evening arati, you say, Sampada tava Sri Pada Bhava Goshpada Variyatha. Goshpada Vari means water. That too muddy water, not clean water. That collects in the hoof print of a cow. Just a little bit, this much, half a cup quantity. The whole universe, whatever happens, it can give is comparable to that Goshpadavari, compared to the joy of the bliss, Brahmananda, our knowing our true self, Sachidananda. There is nothing that can be compared to it. So the saying is, Brahmandam Goshpadayate, the whole Brahmanda cosmos, whatever pleasure it can give, is just equal to the water in a hoof print. That's not worth striving for. There is something far greater, far higher, and that is our true nature. We are that even now. We have always been that, nothing else. But unfortunately, under the cover of Maya, we are not aware of our own true nature. We think we are the body and the mind, suffer. So that is the whole purpose of Vedanta. Vedanta keeps on saying, Tattvamasi, you are that. You are not what you think you are. You are that infinite reality. You are that Sachidananda. That's the message of Vedanta. But that many people don't understand. They strive for small things like heaven, or some promotion in a job, or buying a bigger house, or buying a driverless car, or something that is latest fashion. That is nothing. That happiness is really not happiness at all. Very short lived, temporary. Soon old age will come, sickness will come, and suffering will come inevitably, no matter how much property, money, success a person has. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam, 13th chapter it will come, verse number 9 or 10. We have to ponder, reflect on the inevitable changes in life. Birth itself is a suffering. We don't remember. Janma, Mrityu, death is even more suffering. There's something that suffering comes before death is terrible. The person is intubated, cannot breathe, cannot do anything. That will happen before death. Jara, old age. Vyadi, sickness. These are all various kinds of suffering that we all have to undergo. Some changes in little bit details, but generally this is the pattern. So we have to ponder these things. Think about what is the meaning of human life. This is how human life goes on. And then again, rebirth will come. Repetition of the same story. We don't want that one. We want to realize our true Sachidananda nature want to be established in that one. That's the goal of life. Doing this yajna, all these things, kamya karma, they will bring very temporary benefits. So that is the import, and that is the message in 2021. Now, what we have to do to escape from this cycle of birth and death and suffering and all that, what is the way out? If you ask Sri Ramakrishna was often asked this question in the gospel. People would many times ask him, Thakur, what is the way? Upai ki. And he would always give the same reply. Repetition of God's name, chanting God's names and glories. So that is what Sri Krishna is also suggesting in the next verse 22. Verse number 22. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nitya viyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. If we just reflect on this verse, all anxiety, all worry will go away. There will be no more anxiety, no more fear, no more worry for anything. That is simplest way to do that one. Sri Krishna is describing here. Ananyas chintayantaha mam ye janaha paryupasate. Those who worship me, ye jana mam paripasate, how? By constantly thinking about God. Worship is of many kinds. We have seen before. Ritualistic worship, chanting all the mantras and doing the offerings, 5 offerings, 10 offerings, 16 offerings, and one more. That's all one kind of worship, Pratima Puja. The second kind of worship is Japa Stotra Adi Madhyama. Repeating God's name or mantra, chanting hymns, describing the glories of God. Japa Stotra. Then there is another kind of worship, Uttama Manasi Puja. There, the duality vanishes. In the first two kinds of worship, there is separation. Manasi Puja means mental worship, similar to worship done with paraphernalia. The next worship, next level of worship is Soham Pujottamotamasa Aham. I am he. In that fourth stage of worship, fourth kind of worship, the separation will vanish. I am the worshipper, I am the devotee, and God is a being worshipped. He is my goal. That duality will disappear. He and I are one and the same. That idea of identity will come. Soham puja. Uttama uttama. That's the best, but that is the most difficult. You can't really say, honestly say, I am God. That will not work for a majority of people. Then there is another kind of worship which Swami Vivekananda introduced. That kind of worship is quite different. He says, he wrote a poem called The Living God. That's one, the title of a poem Swamiji wrote. There, Swamiji asked the question, which God are you worshipping? The God in the temples in the form of an image, a granite image or marble image or a photo, or is that God you are worshipping? What God are you worshipping? The best way to worship God is to worship the being sitting next to you. Daridra Narayana. The person, it need not be even a human being, an animal or plant which needs service, it needs help. If you render help thinking it is worship of God, that's the best kind of worship. Neglecting the vibrant living presence of God in other beings, and we are going to Himalayas and caves and temples and doing elaborate worship, what good is that? Swamiji asked the question. So that is another kind of worship. That's not in the scripture, old scripture, the Swamiji's, it was there before, but Swamiji brought it to the fore. So those who think of God, the simplest way to worship God is to think about God. Repeating his name, mentally thinking about God. Ananya Chintayanto Mam. Ananya means Aprutak Bhuta, except God Narayana or our chosen ideal, thinking about anything else is waste of time. Param Devam Narayanam Atmatvena Gataha Santaha. Those who think of the Lord all the time and think of themselves as being one with Him without wasting time thinking about worldly things. Ananya means no other object. All thought of worldly objects is sheer waste of time and energy. They don't amount to anything. The only thing that matters is thinking about God. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha paripasate. Worship me in every way. Tesham, of those people, nityavayuktanam, those are ever steadfastly devoted to me. What the Lord does, yogakshemam vahamyaham. Vahami means I will carry. Vahana means carriage. I shall carry on my head. He's not there. It means that I shall carry. What will he carry? Two things. Yoga, kshema. Yoga means apraptasya prapanam. Something that we don't have, what we need. He supplies that. That supplying thing that we need, which we don't have, is called yoga. Kshema means praptasya rakshanam. Protection of what we have. Both are necessary. He takes care of both of them. That's his part of the deal. Yogakshema Mahamyam. He's promised God's word. Yes, a deal. He has promised what he will do to us. What we have to do to earn that favor is Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. Constantly thinking about God. In the midst of our worldly activities and duties, good and bad, pain and suffering, We have to think about God all the time. Simplest way is to repeat God's name or in any other way, doing all our work as worship, offering all our work as we have studied in different places. All of these are different ways to think about God, to remain in constant communion with the divine. Practice in the presence of God, as Brother Lawrence did. That is our part. If you do that, then he will say, Yogakshema Mohamyam. He will provide what is necessary and will protect what is necessary. See, Ramakrishna said, Holy Mother said also many times, if you take the name of God, God will provide the basic necessities. We'll have a place to stay, roof overhead, food to eat, and a clothes to wear. That is guaranteed. So that is the promise. This is a very important and very reassuring verse. If we take the name of God, there is no reason to be anxious. Recently, I read in that book, Sri Sarada Devi and the Holy Mother and her divine play, Swami Chetananda's very big, nice book. On page 622 of that book, a short passage comes. I mentioned it earlier also. There was a Swami, I don't remember his name, one of the young monks, disciples of Holy Mother. In conversation, Holy Mother said to him, he is carrying you all in his hands. That's what she said. Amen, Sri Ramakrishna. That monk, he said, no, is he carrying us even now? How do we know? Doubt. Holy Mother said, that's your problem. He's carrying you, but you don't know. You have to become aware of his presence in your life. Then the same thing she repeated again. He is carrying you this moment in this body. That Swam monk said, we know that he will come. Thakur will come after we die at the moment of death and take us forward. That we know, the monk says. She said, no, that's not all. He is carrying you now in this body. She repeated it emphatically. That's the truth. But we are not aware of, of His grace. His grace is right now within us. Without His grace, He would not be here doing this feeble, humble Gita study. It's all His grace. But we don't recognize as His grace all these things. He is carrying us now. That is His promise, Yogakshemam Mahamyam. The Lord is always protecting us, always there to carry us, to take us through all our life, vicissitudes of life. He's there, His grace is there. We have to become aware of it. Then it will be very joyful. So, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam, Yejana Pariyapasate, Tesham Nityavayuktanam, Yogakshevam Mahamyam. There is a little story. It may be a legend, but something. I said that story some time ago also. Somewhere in Orissa, there was a gentleman, Jagannath Mission. Orissa, many people have this name, Jagannath. In South India, everybody has Rama or Krishna, every second house. In Orissa, Jagannath is they come, Puri Jagannath. So this Jagannath Mishra was there, holy person, pious person, praying to God and worshipping God, leading a simple life. His wife was there, very pious lady. So one day, that gentleman read this sloka 22, 9:22. He read this one. He used to read Gita every day. That day he read this sloka. He read Ananya Sintayanta Mam Yejana Paripasate Tesham Nityavayuktanam Yogakshem Mahamyam. When he read this verse, a doubt entered his mind. Vahami means I am carrying. To carry something, maybe on the head. The Lord does not carry on. He said, literally, it's not true. He will arrange for things to happen in our lives, will provide what we need, but He Himself does not carry, literally. So this cannot be literally true. So he struck out the word with his pen, Vahami, in his book, Gita book, he put a line across it, and in its place he wrote Karomi. The meter does not change. Yogakshemam karomyam vahamyam, same meter. Then he closed the book and went away. And he used to go somewhere every day. As soon as he left the house, that lady, wife was there, pious lady. Somebody knocked on the door. She opened the door. She opened the door. She saw a uh, unbelievable sight. A 5, 6 year old, charming, beautiful young child, a boy, was standing there at a doorstep, carrying a big basket, heavy basket with so many groceries and provisions and everything. And what was more striking was blood was coming from scratch mark on the boy's face. She didn't know what to make of this. Who is this boy? Why is he carrying this heavy a lot of grocery basket on his head? Who scratched his face? Beautiful, lovely, charming child. Who could do that? So she asked the boy, she took the basket down. Who gave you this basket, my child? Who scratched your face? Blood is coming from your face. What happened? Who are you? The boy said, Mother, your husband scratched my face. Blood is coming. Then she could know my husband is not such a cruel man. He's a very nice, kind man. How could he scratch your face? No, no, your husband scratched my face. That's why blood is coming. Who sent this basket? Your husband sent this basket to be given to. Nothing made sense to that lady. Why would my husband scratch this little boy's face? Why would, from where are he, my husband got all these things to make you carry a heavy load on your head? Nothing made sense. Very total confusion. So she kept the basket and went inside her house to bring something to wash the child's face and put something, ointment or something. When she came back, the boy had disappeared. It only take a few seconds for us to go inside and bring something. The boy was not there. Basket is there, full of groceries, all kinds of things. She looked all over the place. She could not find the boy. Disappeared. And the mystery deepened. And she's thinking, what? She is thinking, what happened? What is this? Why would my husband do this thing? From where did he get all this? She was thinking like this. And then Jagannath Mishra walks away as if he didn't know anything. He comes. As soon as he came, she took him to task. Why did you scratch the boy's face? Who gave you all this groceries? Why did you make the boy carry the heavy? What boy's face? I didn't scratch anybody's face. I didn't send any groceries. You do not send this? No, I don't know. I didn't send this basket. I don't know who gave it. I never sent anything to any boy or anything. I didn't scratch anybody's face. What are you talking? Both of them were astounded. Then, in a flash, Jagannath Mishra realized what happened. It occurred to him in a flash. He started crying, rolling on the ground out of deep remorse. Then the wife asked, what is happening? He said, crying, deep remorse. Jagannath Mishra says to his wife, you see, this morning I read this sloka in the Gita, Yogakshemam Mahamyaham 922. I didn't trust God's words. I doubted God's words. Then I struck his words, scratched it and put Karomi in his place. That was the mistake. Scratching the word of God is same as scratching God's. Word of God is same as God. Gita book is Bhagavan Krishna himself in this book form. Every word he says is he himself, expressing himself in the form of words. We should not doubt that. He started crying, and then you knew what happened. The Lord himself came carrying these provisions to prove that he actually does that. The story is there. It may be part of a legend, something somewhere may have happened, but the story is, I've heard it in several places. Yogakshevam Mahamyam. That is our truth. Now, one more incident I will tell you before we leave 922. At one time, Swami Vivekananda was traveling in Rajasthan. He would not carry any money when he was traveling, just depending upon God's will. No storage for food for next meal, nothing. Walk, and whatever food comes by chance, begging or something, eat and be satisfied. Somebody bought him a train ticket. first class ticket to go from one place to another in Rajasthan. He accepted it. He entered into the compartment. In that compartment, there was another passenger who apparently was a rich man. He had all kinds of food packed and everything, that rich man, a fellow passenger. And the lunch time came, and that man started eating the lunch. He didn't give anything to Swamiji. Swamiji didn't have any food. On the other hand, he taunted Swamiji. That man taunted. He said, "Oh, you have become a sannyasi, depending upon God's will. Why don't you work hard and make money and enjoy like myself?" Swamiji didn't say anything. So he finished lunch. In the evening, they both got down in a certain place, some station. And the Swamiji didn't have any food all day to eat. He sat down under a tree in the train station. That rich man was still there. Then what happened? One other gentleman comes carrying a basket full of food, nicely cooked food. He brings vegetables, chapati, whatever. He gives it to Swamiji. Swamiji says, "There is a mistake. No, I don't know anybody in this town. It may be for somebody else." No, that man said, "This is for you. My Ishtadevata told me that he described you and he said you will be sitting under a tree. This is for you, please take it." So Swamiji took it. And then that man was watching all of this. He didn't understand what is happening. Yoga Kshema Mohamya. Swamiji's life, this happened several times. Somehow, God will provide what we need when we need. Maybe not according to our expectations, but He will provide the basic necessities. Yoga Kshema Mohamyam. If you truly ponder, reflect on this message, we will become free from all anxiety, worry, and fear. Nothing to worry. He is providing. He is carrying us in His hands. Our Holy Mother said, "What more do we need?" Holy Mother said, "He is carrying you now in His hands." Even now, she said, assured several times. So that is the word of God. So this sloka, this verse number 22, is something that we have to really reflect upon again and again. Adanyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityaviyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. So that story is not complete. I omitted something. When Swamiji asked that man, "This for somebody else, not for me. I don't know anybody." That man said, "It is for you." And Swamiji said, "How do you know it is for me?" That man said, "Sir, this afternoon I was taking a nap after lunch, and then somebody came and shook me, woke me up and said, 'Take food to that hungry Swami who's waiting in the train station. Take this lunch for him,' he said. I thought it was my mind dreaming something. That man said, I didn't believe. I went back to sleep again. Again, the same person came, Rama came. His chosen ideal was Rama. He was Rama Bhatta. Rama came this time and shook me and woke me up and told me, 'Go, why are you waiting? Wasting your time. The Swami is waiting there hungry. Take food right now in the train station.' So Rama came and told this man to take food to Swamiji who was waiting hungry. It's all Lord's plan. He's watching this 24 hours. Even when you don't think of God, He's watching us, taking care of us, holding us in His hand. It's the greatest, very great sloka, this one, 922. Please study it. Let us study it several times and reflect on it. Then 23, these are other people who don't believe in the grace of God, who do other things, worship other gods for small things, asking for small favors. They are in sloka 23, they are being described. We don't have to pay much attention to this because we don't want to be in that category. Yepyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvita tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya vidipurvakam. Oh Arjuna, those people also who are worshipping other deities, seeking small favors, who worship with faith other deities, actually they are worshipping me only. The Supreme Lord is the one who receives all the worship in all the forms. No matter in which form you worship God, it all goes to Him. He's the only one. Assuming infinite number of forms. People worship in the form in which they choose to worship. Worshipping me only, Arjuna, but not according to Vedic injunctions. Avidipurvakam yasanti. Vidipurvaka means according to the prescribed procedure in the scriptures. But they follow their own method and worship anyhow. But still, they are worshipping me alone, not knowing that they are worshipping me. Like that. For example, in some village, small village, there is a stone there by the wayside. Somehow, some people start going down to the stone, and then they become more devoted to the stone, thinking of it as Hanuman in that form. And somebody puts a hut, small temple around it, that becomes a Hanuman temple. And every day people go there, worship there, and offer their worship and whatever they can, and that faith increases. To them, that is reality. It's only a stone for us, but it is God Himself appearing to them in that form, appearing to them. It's that faith that works. In India, people worship trees. If there is a Ashwatha tree, people go around the tree 108 times. I've seen some people who, a lady who wants to have a child, then for 48 days, 8 days or something, she goes around the tree 108 times every day. And she puts some coins there. That's how people have faith. It's the faith that works. To her, that is God. God can come in any form, in the form of a tree, in the form of a stone, in the form of a Hanuman, in the form of Ganesha, in the form of Rama or Krishna, same divinity. In whatever way we worship God, we are worshipping Him alone. Mameva te yajanti. But avidipurvakam, not knowing the proper way. So in their own way they worship. That's okay, it still works. Faith is the main thing. Then he says, whoever does whatever worship or sacrifice, all that comes to me, I'm the recipient of all yajna. So very interesting sloka 24. Aham sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natumam abhijananti tatvena tascha vantite. Sarva yajnanam ahameva bhokta cha prabhucha. Of all the yajnas, yajna means not only Vedic yajna, any kind of worship. Any kind of worship. Whatever people do, sarva yajnanam ahameva bhokta cha prabhucha. I'm the recipient, bhokta, I'm an enjoyer, to which everything comes. Prabhu Revas, I'm the Lord of all the yajnas. In the Vedas it says, Yajna vai Vishnuhu, all yajna is God Himself. We saw that in 424. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi. Every aspect of every karma is the Lord Himself. The eater and the person who feeds and the object that is being eaten, the harvest that is being offered into the fire, everything is Brahman. That's the truth. But we don't see it that way. We see only limited aspects of divine. So somebody wants some money or promotion, they worship Lakshmi. Somebody is appearing for an exam, like the bar exam or a board exam or something, they worship Saraswati, or they go to some temple and do some puja. Limited way, limited objectives, seeking limited things. There's also worship. There's also devotion. Devotion is there, no doubt. That's not the highest kind of devotion. Gradually, it will mature into Shuddha Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. It will take some time to come to the conclusion that Vasudeva is all in all. It will take some time. It may take more than one lifetime, but it will come eventually. But it has to start somewhere. Devotion has to start somewhere. At some point, in some form, that is a good thing in itself. Then we have only a few minutes left. Let me do sloka 25 quickly. 26 is again one of the 5-star slokas in Bhagavad Gita. 25. Yanti deva vrata devan Pitrun yanti pitravrata Bhutani yanti bhutejya Yanti madhyajino imam. The devotees worship various aspects of God, not the ultimate reality. They reach their own destination. Whatever, whomever they worship, they reach that one. They get their objectives. Pitrunyanti Pitravrata. Those people worship the ancestor. Ancestor worship is common. Worshipping the ancestors. They go to the Pitrus, Pitraloka. Bhutanyanti Bhuteja. The worshippers who worship various elements, Bhutani means, for example, some people worship fire. Some people worship water, ocean, a river. Those are also aspects of God, but they are only worship seeing a part of that one. They are not getting the big picture. Bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajino pimam. Those who worship me, madhyajana, those who worship me, mam yanti, they got God. So what we have to do is worship the divine. You can choose any form to worship. That's our choice. But we should know that worshiping the one divinity present in all forms. We will stop here. Next time I should do 26, very important sloka. If you have any questions or comments, we have a few minutes now. Anything, Shukladi, Krishnadi, comments? Is Pradeep Saha here today? Somebody hacked into his email.
Yeah, sorry about that. Actually, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yes, I apologize to everybody. I did not have anything to do with it. So yes,
it's not your fault.
2 or 3 days ago, suddenly I got first call from Abhay, who is our friend and president of our Vedanta Society. He suddenly says, Pradeep, I got a weird email from you. Did you email it? I said, no. So then, of course, I had to go to shower and all that.
It happened to me also a few months ago.
Right. So anyway, everything has been taken care of.
Very good.
And actually, now I probably have thousands of email because in India and many other countries. So a lot of people called and a lot of people send me text and all that.
People are worried about you.
Told everybody that it was a scam. Do not, And then I changed the password and now they have even a good system. Second verification. That means now I have, if somebody hacks, then they will ask for an code from my cell phone. Of course, my cell phone will always be with me, so the hacker will not get access to my cell phone. So I think everything is safe.
Very good, thank you. Yeah, because Das phone also was hacked.
I'm sorry, nothing I could do.
No, he's in California. He doesn't. Yeah, it happens like that. Yeah. Shiv Shankar Rana. Shiv Shankar also got hacked. Let us say the closing prayer.
Okay.
Om Sarve Bhavanta Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy. May all be free from diseases and other problems. May all have harmony and love for each other and no ill will or hatred. May no one be subject to any kind of suffering or misery. Om peace. May there be peace in our hearts, Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings, Adi Bhautika Shanti. And may there be peace everywhere in nature, Adi Daivika Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. All of you stay well, and God willing, we shall meet next week again. Thank you.